Welcome to Live NPL Victoria from Kingston Heath. It is a bonanza night of 5 games, likely to shake up the ladder, no doubt. And at the pointy end, both Bentleigh Greens and Hume City are chasing Avondale at the top of the competition. Good evening, my name is Teo Pellizzeri, joined tonight by Lockie Flanagan. Lockie, we're looking forward to an intriguing game with a lot of interesting recent history between these two teams as well.
We absolutely are, Teo. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to have some fans back as well, finally able to not play games behind closed doors any longer. Yeah, great chance for Bentleigh Greens to continue their strong league form up against the Hume City side, who felt a little bit hard done by last week in the loss to the Knights. Of course, that Paddy Lenoir own goal really threw apart what was looming as a promising second half comeback. So definitely a good chance for Bentleigh to sustain things. But Hume will fancy their chances of bouncing back. Although history, as I'm sure you're about to say, doesn't necessarily favour them.
No, in the most recent meeting at ABD Stadium, it was a win in the Cup for Hume City. But here at Kingston Heath, it is 11 years since Hume City won in the league. So in the NPL era, it's been entirely the Bentleigh Greens, all the way back to 2010 when Andy Vlahos was playing coach. That's when Hume City last saluted here on the grass in Melbourne's southeast. Tonight's referees Pas Natas. Let's go to the teams. Bentleigh Greens with Javier Lopez in goal, 3 Jacob Alexander, 7 Pierce Waring, 8 George Lambataritis, 10 Kieran Dover, 11 James Exidius, 13 Corey Sewell, 14 Damien Iconis, 15 Daniel Bowman, 21 Braden Crowley, and 22 is Mitchell Hoare. And for Hume City, wearing their home kit tonight, all red, Michael Weir is their goalkeeper, 4 Jordan Maricic, 5 Danny Dixon, 7 Andy Brennan, 9 Josh Bingham, 12 Mark Ochieng, 13 Matt Lazaridis, 14 Mitch Cooper, 15 Hayden Tennant, 18 Ben Bowler, and 24 is Umut Bozugdan. So, Lockie, who's going to win and why?
I think Bentleigh have got the form on their side at the moment. I think they'll keep on pushing, although they will have their hands full in defence coming up against Josh Bingham. That weak in defence will have to come up against the most potent, or equal most potent, number 9 in the league. He's got scored in his last 8 games.
So that whistle gets us underway then. 8:30 kickoff here at Kingston Heath on your Friday night. And as you've said, Lockie, the race for the Golden Boot just as compelling as the race for the title, and we'll keep you up to speed with around the ground scores. Of course, you can watch them all for yourself on all your different tabs in your web browser, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. I can tell you that we've finally had the first goal of the night as well, with Oakley Cannons taking a 1-0 lead away at Green Gully. Every other game is currently scoreless. So a couple of 8:30 kickoffs. Heidelberg away at Dandenong City, and this game, Melbourne Knights and Avondale, are scoreless at half-time, as are Port Melbourne and Dandenong Thunder. So a huge number of teams, 10 out of the 14 competitors in the league, all playing at the same time. And it means that there's plenty of opportunity to shake up the table. And as you can see here, Bentleigh Greens, just a very gentle standoff here, Lockie. And we were intrigued in pre-game as to the state of their defence. We saw Jack Webster walking around pre-game. No Ben Carrigan. So some real defensive absentees for this Bentleigh Greens tonight. And it means they've gone for a different formation, a different arrangement of their regular back four.
Yep, we've got Alexander, who's played a few times in that centre-back role this season, back in there with the captain's armband in place of Jack Webster as well. And then Corey Sewell dropping out of deep midfield and getting himself on the ball in central defence.
And after that long, rather passive string of passes around their defensive half, Hume eventually venture forward, and Bentleigh see the opportunity to win possession back as Waring through the left side now. Crowley controls. No Brent McGrath tonight either for the Bentleigh Greens. Mitchell Hoare back to the centre of defence. And now Bentleigh get to own the ball for a bit. Tell you what, Hume almost got a little bit bored there, Lockie, with Bentleigh standing off. They seemed perfectly happy just to get a feel for possession here at Kingston Heath. Of course, visiting teams really love coming here because they generally get the best pitch in the league.
Yeah, they do. And I think if you are going to try and frustrate this Bentleigh side, the best approach is to try and sit off and suffocate the space in between the lines. And we saw St Albans, they started a bit slow in that game last week, but as the second 45 wore on, they were able to throw up a couple of opportunities, and sometimes in those games, you know, Bentleigh, they're always creating a very high volume of opportunities, and they can be their own worst enemy occasionally, just struggling to find the back of the net on a consistent basis. and finish the majority of the chances that fly up. So it depends on, really depends on the Greens' ability to put teams on the sword.
Now, I don't know if this is obvious coming through on the stream, but do you think this is a really bad kit clash? Red team against a green team? Who's light and who's dark in this scenario?
Well,
as we see, sorry, we'll stick with Hume here, who are going to attack. Bentleigh in the centre of midfield. Now at the edge of the box, Brennan turning and shooting, of course, a former Bentleigh Greens player. The Tasmanian, who spent time at South Melbourne as well. Now we get to see Braden Crowley go for a run down the right side, being guarded by Maricic. And he's going to jag back central. Bentleigh trying to ask some questions over on that right flank, not making any real progression. Corey Sewell hits a attempted crossfield pass, which really loops up. You can see, even with some rain during the day, the firmness of the surface here at Kingston Heath. And now Alexander consolidates. And that is an awkward pass. Bingham's going to go chasing the ball. Lambatteritis back, helping out the Bentleigh defence. And now Alexander gives possession away. This is Mitch Cooper taking over for Hume City, back to Mark Ochieng. But yeah, the kit clash. Have I got a point, or am I just showing my red-green colour deficiency here?
So some of the compatriots in the media box here are nodding, agreeing with you on the kit clash. I mean, it's made especially interesting by the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, Hume do have a white away kit, which would have made this pretty darn easy.
Hume have a away kit as well, let's not forget. They're the ones who maybe packed the red for the trip across town on this Friday night. Oh, big goal around the grounds. Dandenong City 1, Heidelberg United 0. That could shake up both the title race and the relegation battle, as we see. Solid challenge here at left back, coming in from Daniel Bowman to put the ball out for a throw. Brennan holding off his marker, trying to thread through Cooper. Alexander is there. Of course, he's got the advantage of also being a left-footed centre-back, even though he's not the tallest. And he uses that left foot to good effect right here with a long driving clearance out of defence. And Oakley have added a second against Green Gully, so they now lead 2-0 over in the northwest at Green Gully Reserve. Just talking about Bentleigh Green's stranglehold against Hume at this venue. So we see Mitch Cooper here squaring the ball. Bingham was waiting in the middle, and it's cleared away. Not only has it been 11 years since Hume won here, it's also been 11 years, lucky, since they scored more than one goal in a game at this ground. So the best they've done in that run was a number of 1-1 draws.
It was very enjoyable to not just look over their stats, but look over the team lineups from that game where Hume did win. And I think it was a 5-1 result in the end, and Lewisevsky playing for Hume. The only name still with either side, of course, not playing tonight, was Jack Webster.
Amazing loyal servant of the Bentleigh Greens, 19-year-old Jack Webster, playing for them back in 2010. Sadly not playing at the centre of defence for them tonight, as we see this attempted pass slew out. What about the coaching duel? Nick Hegarty against Nick Tolios?
Yeah, I mean, it's two coaches who really like to play an expansive brand of football. Hopefully that translates into plenty of goals.
It's been a very standoffish opening to this one. Now Bentleigh are going to probe down the left. They don't like the look of that, so Lambatteritis stops and reassesses. Hume very solid, and now the defence is brought up. Hayden Tennant at the centre of that defence, trying to lift the line, but they're going to have to backtrack here as Bentleigh go through the right side. Iaconis squaring ball and cleared away by Maricic. Bingham trying to hold things up, but it's booted off his feet into what is a modest crowd. Maybe 75 fans have found their way in, although the club rooms are always busy, so I'm sure on a cooler night, quite a few might be watching from the warmth inside underneath our camera position. Here's Andy Brennan. Shooting channel's open here, and he's going to accept the invitation. Takes a big deflection, though. The defence converged in time, and I can't quite believe my eyes with what's going on around the grounds, Lockie.
Goodness gracious. Dandenong City, 6 minutes in at Frank Holohan, doubling their advantage against the Burgers. That is quite something to read.
Here's a great run. Stopped in his tracks, though, was Kieran Dover. Good to see him starting tonight. As we know, Bentleigh's been injury hit this season. He's one of a number of players who've been coming off the bench, getting back to match fitness.
Yeah, there were a few who had hesitation about where they'd place Bentleigh in their preseason predictions because of all those injuries, but the more players have come back, and Batterides was back early in the season as well, the stronger and stronger the Bentleigh Greens have gotten.
It's a promising ball for Waring to go and chase, and it's nodded by Maricic back to his keeper, comfortably enough for Michael Weir. Just looking at the benches, Bentleigh tonight, Alex Pavlidis, Will Demanis, Alex Cornelia, Chudia Tajiath, who scored that winning goal away at St Albans last week, and Thierry Irodakunda. And then for Hume City, Lucas Trinkowski, Theo Markellis, Alex Walter, Lockie Weir, brother of goalkeeper Michael, and Patrick Langlois. Bentleigh starting to get into the groove then. 9th minute of this contest. Hume repelling though. Matt Lazaridis playing at left back. Ball out for a throw. Header at the centre of defence, not overly convincing. Tennant keeps it moving. And now launching up through the left side. Bowman going on a run. Waring trying to step through the defenders. Here's Iaconis taking the pot shot, and it's blocked immediately off his boot. Slow challenge coming in from Mitch Cooper from the blind side, and he continued on. This time he felled James Exidius. Play continues. A few shouts coming from the Bentleigh bench, but also some smattering of appreciation from Hume for the hustle shown by Mitch Cooper. And now the visiting team have the ball back with Mark Ochieng. Brennan has been getting a lot of space in this pocket right here, and he runs at the Bentleigh defence once again. And Lockie, at some point, he needs to think about execution, because Bentleigh are seemingly happy to give him the space.
He's doing really well early doors to pick up possession in that half space. He's clearly got the space to move in between the defensive and midfield lines. Just needs to get a few more shots off, maybe a little bit earlier. He's had a few moments where he's carried the ball, then taken the shot and had it blocked. We just, especially in the wet conditions where the ball can always cause the keeper a bit of troubles, not to lean on the cliches. Maybe just shoot it a bit earlier and catch Javi Lopez off guard.
This is the first time we've really seen Braden Crowley in space, but it's because he has strayed offside. Over on the outer side. No Brent McGrath tonight, so a bit more responsibility falls onto Braden Crowley up top.
I always will say this on a Bentleigh broadcast, that I'm a big fan of Braden Crowley as a striker. Gets himself a player who always makes the good runs, gets himself into great positions. Finishing can be sometimes mildly inconsistent, but he's managed to pick up a decent haul of goals so far this season. Up to 6 now, although I think there would be some who would say of Braden Crowley that he could very easily have had double that figure.
At his best, he's a goal-a-game striker, but he's still trying to capture that form. I'm sure a couple of weeks of lockdown won't have helped the sharpness of a lot of players, but at least this is the second game back for these sides. So we see a high, hopeful cross to the penalty area. Bingham, first real involvement for him tonight, using his strength. And now the follow-up shot, and that was Umut Bozdogan, who has fired it well wide and couldn't catch a deflection on the way, out for a goal kick.
Well, that's the benefits beyond goals, I think you see that Harry Bingham can bring, playing with his back to goal, chesting down.
Definitely not Harry Bingham.
Harry Bingham, Josh Bingham, goodness gracious.
His playing days are long over. I'm sure he'll appreciate the shout-out, though. Ball on the right side now for the Bentleigh Greens as we see Iaconis go to work. Crowley coming deep. And they come a little bit unstuck. The deflection means that it will remain Hume City ball. Mitch Cooper invited in. We've seen him trying to defend from the front so far tonight. The press continues. And out of the tangle, Bingham wins back possession. Stuck in the centre circle though. Now he's getting challenges from all directions. Shuffles it over to Ochieng. And, well, he admonishes himself for that pass because not on the same wavelength as any of his teammates. And while we haven't quite stepped up the tempo to an entertaining level, Lockie, at least we're out of first gear, which is where the game perhaps was stuck for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, certainly seems like So trying to press the issue a little bit more. That was a strange pass forward from Mocheng. I mean, it's not a bad idea to play that ball in behind, but you've got to have the runners ahead of you, and certainly didn't have any teammates making that run in behind the defensive line.
Tap of the ankles here, and that is going to be a free kick some distance away from goal, though. So if Heidelberg do lose tonight, it's a great opportunity for both these teams. Bentleigh coming in 3 points behind ladder leaders Avondale, so a win tonight, and they can go level on points with them, but it would have to be a big win in order to overhaul their goal difference. And then Hume, by contrast, starting the night in 8th, but they can jump as high as 24 points with a win tonight, which, depending on the result at Port Melbourne and also at Knights Stadium, could have them as high as 5th. Here's the free kick then. Alexander, the centre defender tonight, wearing the captain's armband as well. He's going to look for a left-footed curler onto a teammate's head. Here it comes, a flat-driven ball, and it's all Hume at the edge of the penalty area. Now, again, good defending from the front. Just stops any chance of a counter-attack, and it's out for a Hume throw it right back. When you take Jack Webster out of the team, they lose their most significant aerial threat at set pieces, don't they?
Yeah, it's a shame. Hinders them defensively, obviously, but I must say, he's traditionally a fullback, but the times I have seen Jacob Alexander play in the central of defence this season, I think he's looked pretty comfortable. Maybe he can not lose on the defensive end quite as much, but still from set pieces. The absence of Jack Webster is always going to be a difficult one to handle.
So a corner kick now for the Bentleigh Greens. Michael Weir, one of the taller goalkeepers in NPL Victoria. See what his command of the area is. It's going to be taken short. They're even going to swing the ball in. And that one is comfortably defended in the end by Hume. And now they can launch a counter-attack. Brennan is the player at the feet they wanted of, and Bowman just wraps him up and knocks the ball away emphatically. Very well defended. Disappointing corner. Came to little there for the Bentleigh Greens.
You're hogging the ball, Brennan.
So now Hume, will they show a bit more urgency from the centre of defence? Doesn't look like it. They're happy to keep knocking it around once again. At some point or another, it has to come with a bit of a purpose. It's a long, hopeful ball, nodded straight down to Bentleigh feet. Swept upon by Corey Sewell. Now Bosdogan plays it out to the left. Scooped up and under ball, invited in Sewell to head it away. And Bentleigh will consolidate possession. They're not in any great rush either. Lambatteridis and Dover just waxing, and now Sewell launches the long diagonal ball. Bowman's making the run. Ochieng is going to come over and keep him company here. Here comes the early cross, and well dealt with by the Hume City defence. But it sails high and out for a corner. I think Michael Weir might have been hoping to get under and catch that header from Tennant. Not to be a corner kick.
Yeah, well found by Corey Sewell was Bowman. Perhaps the pass maybe should have come just a little bit earlier, maybe one or two passes earlier, as Bowman did have greater space. Certainly, that's one of the first wide openings we've seen for Bentleigh, and it ends in this corner.
First corner of the night wasn't very well executed. Let's see if a second one and a conventional delivery has any more joy. Alexander driving it into traffic, and the whistle went. So even though that ball was turned into the back of the net, whistle had gone well before, and Braden Crowley is denied a little poacher's finish in the 6-yard box. No protesting either. And so Hume immediately looked to swing down the other end, and it runs beyond Mitch Cooper. I'm not 100% sure. Was it a foul? Was it offside? I didn't quite catch exactly what the infringement was, but no one was protesting when the whistle went. We might have a look back at the stream and have the advantage of a second opportunity to see what was going on. In the meantime, Bentleigh Greens down in the left back corner. Long throw from Bowman. He hurls it almost up to halfway. Waring now. He's knocked off the ball. Good challenge by Ocheng, an illegal challenge. So he switches over to Matt Lazaridis, who has plenty of territory on the open expanses of Kingston Heath. He's allowed to just drift into the attacking half, and then he'll steer it back to Maricic at the centre of defence. Tennant. Brought down well. Now in the channel. Here goes Danny Dixon, another former Bentleigh Greens player, of course. Originally from WA. That's a promising teasing cross. And Lopez holds onto it comfortably enough. Lockie, you've had a chance to look back at the footage. What is the reason that Bentleigh corner was whistled dead?
I've had more than one chance. I've had multiple chances to look back at it. And I have to say, perhaps Bentleigh have cause to feel a little bit hard done by. I think maybe there was an infringement from Lambatarides as the corner came in, some hands in the back potentially, but I couldn't see much beyond that. It's in the defence of referee Pascal Asnadas, he's probably in better position to judge those incidents than we are in the box.
I have to be really careful giving the refs a rap, because in the 2 games midweek, as soon as I talked up both Adam Bafka and then one of the assistant referees in the Southeastern Lions game, I may have given them the ultimate commentator's curse. So, just out of interest, what was your thoughts on the penalty decision? I mean, I'm sure Oakley would have won the game regardless. They were good value for their 1-0 win, but what were your thoughts on the penalty call that squeaked them past Preston Lions on Tuesday night?
I thought the ball got very obviously collected, and I think it was a double whammy as well for the Preston Lions, in the sense that not only was the ball collected, but it was done so, in my view, having watched it a few times on the super slow-mo, outside the box.
Must admit, that didn't even cross my mind on the night, and then all the screenshots started pouring in on social media, and you look at the paint and you go, oh yeah, that too. Anyway, that is done. That game's in the books, and Oakley progress, and they are currently 2-0 up against Green Gully around the grounds as well. This game needs a goal. It needs one of these two teams to bring some spark into the contest and then provoke a response out of their opponent. The question is, who's it going to be? Crowley, past known in particular, rolls out to the Hume City away dugout, and quickly it's thrown back in, and it's back at the feet of Hayden Tennant, who's had plenty of feel for possession so far tonight. If you're Nick Hegarty, are you happy to just let this drift, until half-time, until the hour mark? Or at some point, Lockie, do you get impatient and start to call for a bit more aggression?
I think I'd probably be the more comfortable of the two if I were Nick Hegarty. I think you're in a position against this Bentleigh side who will always try and force the issue wherever they can, that opportunities do present themselves on the counter-attack in transitional moments, and I think you've got a big man like Josh Bingham leading the line and plenty of pace either side of him. I think you can cause threats in transition, and a big goal over at Knights Stadium. Avondale taking the lead against the Melbourne Knights.
Well, that again incentivises both these teams, perhaps Hume more so than Bentleigh, to really push on here. Just racking my memory for previous games between these two teams I'd commentated here, Lockie. Very rarely do you see in the NPL teams go away from home and set up to just get a point away. This actually is one of those games where in the past, Hume, regardless of whether it was Luachevsky as coach or whether it was Heggs, they have been happy to settle for a point at times over the journey. I'm not trying to suggest that they're going to settle for a point the entire night. That's why I'm thinking maybe if they get a foothold in the game, they'll get a bit more aggressive. But this is one of those head-to-heads where they just have had such poor results at this venue that sometimes they'll settle for a draw. Of course, Bentleigh, so often chasing the title rather than simply the top 6, it means settling for a draw is a mentality that you can't ever really adopt. Here's Iaconis. Plays it to Lambatarides and stroked out to the right. Bit of hesitation Turning back around Mitchell Hoare and into the midfield. 50-50's there to be won, and that was good hustle and excellently done. Bowman. Lambertaridis. Shout, you just heard the distinctive voice of Nick Tolios there talking about the shape. Can they find the right pass to unlock the Hume defence? Dover out to the right side. Attempted quick cross in, is blocked out for a throw. But again, promising signs, and Bentleigh now maybe just showing Hume what could happen if Hume are prepared to just plant themselves behind the ball.
Extremely patient on their way up the field there. Fullbacks making those overlaps will be crucial to find openings.
Now from the right side, driven in low, kept away from Crowley. Now he's going to get a chance. He can't free his feet, though, against two defenders. And eventually the ball is harried and corralled out of the penalty area. Bingham's the lone hand up front. Got to say the kit clash is particularly bad when they venture over into the shadows on the other side of the ground, but the fans underneath the awning out there were in no doubt as to their frustration at the free kick being given Hume City's way. Thought Hume is to go backwards and just retain possession once again. News of a goal at Port Melbourne, and they are 1-0 down to Dandenong Thunder. So after beating South Melbourne at Lakeside this time a week ago, Port might go and undo all that hard work if they were to drop the points to Dandy Thunder tonight.
Although, in saying that, that would be very Port Melbourne to do.
It would, yes. As soon as they just get to the precipice of the top six, just to take a step back. Thunder, of course, with their own ambitions of breaking into the finals, but they're coming from a fair way back. Hume, of course, would be one of the obstacles they would have to leapfrog in order to get in, you suspect. Doubt there's much chance of both Thunder and Hume finding their way into the top six by the end of the campaign. And the referee is just going to stop play and have a chat here to Josh Bingham. Clearly not happy with the level of verbal that's coming back his way. And there's a look at Bingham's body language to suggest that maybe he thought the talking to wasn't merited. About a quarter of the way through tonight's action, 25th minute. It is scoreless. Dare I suggest very scoreless between the Bentleigh Greens and Hume City at the moment. We haven't had a really signature chance of note.
Not only scoreless, but not that far away from saying shotless. Almost.
Almost. Well, set pieces. Bentleigh have had a few. Hume City haven't really had a... I don't think they've had a corner, and they haven't really had a dangerous free kick of note either. So the Greens just shading it. You'd say 51-49 on points at the moment. Here's a long ball to Brennan. He looks the most likely to get something going in attack for Hume City, but he's quickly dispossessed and then slip slides away from the ball. Javier Lopez has been a virtual spectator so far in this one. Well, this is really big news. Two absolutely beleaguered players for Dandy City are their two scorers.
Oh, goodness me.
Teese and Braden Mann, both of whom had been really under the pump for not delivering as interstate recruits. As Ochieng heads this one back to his keeper. What a huge confidence booster that would be. It's not the new faces. Mickey Colina, maybe he's the Braden Mann whisperer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not too long ago that news about Braden Mann potentially being on the way out of Dandy City flew past the desk, but it's a good way to show you can stay in that team and stay in this league. Scoring a goal against Heidelberg.
After watching Heidelberg last week live, I'm not sure they've got 3 goals in them. That is a bad giveaway from Mitch Cooper, and Kieran Dover is trying to capitalise here. Braden Crowley, can he free the feet? It's Crowley straight into the grasp of Michael Weir. Didn't make the keeper work.
It might have been on his weaker side, but perhaps the earlier shot trying to catch out Michael Weir might have been the better idea, because he pushed the ball wide and really made the angle a very difficult one for himself.
Shouts of offside against Danny Dixon were not heeded by the assistant, and he continues to weave his way to the edge of the box, and now a block tackle. We'll see it go into the night sky off Lazaridis, and so a quick Hume counter-attack is diffused. No surprise that Joe Knowles is on the score sheet as Oakley are in a 2-0 lead against Green Gully. Mitch Cooper, he'll be wiser for that mistake, giving the ball away in midfield. In such a cagey game like this, where neither team wants to give any quarter or take too many risks, a mistake might be the #1 way to see a goal here, and you just don't want it to be you.
Yeah. Maybe even not require something spectacular. Maybe a stroke of fortune, perhaps given his earlier season exploits. One that you called, Damien Iaconis might be the man, Teo.
Well, I think we're getting into territory where the teams are going to have to start thinking about positioning players, you know, maybe at the top of the D, maybe even 2 metres further back, sort of the designated distance long shooter. For not so much the element of surprise, but just if you can't have any joy getting in behind, if you can't have any joy playing into the penalty area, long shots very fast, buying a deflection might become the answer here. Andy Brennan's shown he's capable of it for Hume. I wonder who the long shot specialist might be for Ben.
As I was trying to say before, maybe just be getting Damien Iaconis to cross from wide areas. He can claim as a shot.
Again, no real aggression in the press. We'll wait and see if it comes at a different minute. I suppose another factor that we have to consider is that having lost 3 weekends of NPL action, both these teams are perhaps also just keeping in the back of their mind that they might have a big run of 3-day and 4-day breaks coming before the season's out. So there's no need to go hell for leather for 90 minutes. It's just a theory, though.
I mean, Bentleigh's in particular can be a very labour-intensive system. Obviously, you try and let the ball do the majority of the work, but there's so much positional rotation that it would be very easy to tire out with such a lengthy break.
Here we go. First time tonight, Hume haven't had a corner yet, and this is the most advanced that they've won a free kick. So a rare set piece, and with the absence of Jack Webster tonight, could we see the likes of Bingham, the likes of Maricic, who have scored headed goals this season, get on the end of Danny Dixon's delivery here? So important for Hume as the away side here to capitalise on a rare forward foray. Javier Lopez sets himself in the 6-yard box as Danny Dixon with a little pump step run up, swinging the ball to the penalty spot, glanced on by Cooper and then dealt with comfortably enough by the Bentleigh Greens defence, and they get it away without any real threat to the goal.
Solid little flick from Cooper, just unfortunate that the only body you could find was one in green.
Another giveaway here, Lambatteridis. And now a bit of breathing space for the Bentleigh Greens, a rarity tonight. Pass is going to force Iaconis backwards, both the pass and the combination of it being well defended by Tennant. Mitchell Hoare. Oh, and now he almost coughed up the ball. Cooper had it and lost it in the blink of an eye. Lambatteridis rolls it to the right. Corey Sewell. Mitchell Hoare. See, he might be the long shot specialist that they can turn to, remembering his goal against Melbourne Knights. In from the left, Bowman is going to win a corner. So at the last corner kick, the ball did end up in the back of the net, but only after the ball was whistled dead. Let's see what Bentleigh have got in mind. All 3 corners that they've had have come in from this left side. This one is attacking the far post, and Michael Weir, as I mentioned, one of the tallest keepers in the NPL, able to use his height and shield the ball. And now he rolls it out to Bingham, who's trying to motor and get a bit of transition play going for the visiting team. Brennan to Bosdogan. And Andy Brennan, we know he loves to cut in, whips across, and that was really a blind pass with no teammates in mind.
I think from that play, it didn't amount to anything from the cross. You see a threat that Hume could potentially pose in transitional phases of play. When you've got that focal point of Bingham, you can play balls forward. Speedy wide players. Didn't work out that time, but it certainly could be route to goal for the away side.
Sewell. Plays it back to Lopez. Now, Hume just sensing the chance to press with a little bit more aggression, and Cooper has done very well. Came in and picked the pocket of Jacob Alexander. Fouled, yellow carded, and a free kick. Oh, yes, just yellow. Sorry, just he kept his yellow card in his back pocket. You don't do that as a referee. It had us all going. Well, it had me going at least. And a free kick in a very dangerous position here. And how clever was that from Mitch Cooper? We could see it coming. Jacob Alexander clearly did not.
And he was just waiting for the turn. And once he had sort of set the trap, he immediately moved in. Picks up a free kick for his efforts.
Got to say, in a real game of chess type football match, we are looking so hard for anything tactical that it's just nice to see that there was a real bit of awareness and a heads-up play there from Cooper to sense the opportunity to press.
Yeah, when the openings are as few and far between as they have been, those moves, they do count for double, don't they?
So this free kick a little bit closer in. I suspect that Danny Dixon won't be thinking about shooting on this impossible angle. It really is about trying to put it on the head of a teammate. He has plenty of opportunities. Hume have committed a number of players forward for this free kick. Huge pack of players for Danny Dixon to aim for. And again, the pump step run-up is accompanied by swinging the ball high to the back post. Bingham right back into the mixer. And then Tennant's header. And rising to the ball. No volley. And the referee says it does merit a foul. Again, probably quite a gentle foul there in the defensive penalty area. But Bentleigh can breathe again.
Melbourne scoring and maybe looking like they're not on course to do the Port Melbourne manoeuvre that we thought they might. Still plenty of time left in that game.
Yeah, 1-1 in the 65th minute over at JL Murphy. This one scoreless with just over 10 minutes of regulation until halftime. The game is slowly simmering. Put it this way, you wouldn't take it off the pot and put it in your bowl just yet.
Not quite ready.
No, it's not quite ready, this one. We're trying to heat up here. Maybe these two teams are just waiting for all the 7:30 kickoffs to end and then the game will spark to life. Here's the ball in from the right and diving header clears it away. Cooper just lent out the torso, not a handball. So through the left side, he continues his run and can't maintain control of the ball. So that will be Bentleigh possession over at right back. Zidius guarding that side of the field. Here's Mitchell Horde trying to get into the match more and more as it goes on. Bowman, we know that when he picks his moment to make a run down the left, he generally does it quite smartly. He's going to get ignored here though. Iaconis, and he's got the option of Bowman, who stayed forward. Goes to work on Ochieng and swings in the cross, and Weir, it's an awkward parry. The ball got low on him right at the last. Lambatteridis hits it sideways. Kieran Dover. Now Zidius back to Hoare. So just a ever so brief blip there from Michael Weir. You wouldn't even call it a window of opportunity for the Bentleigh Greens. So they resume passing the ball right at the edge of the attacking third. And through the right side they go. Breaking cross, and again a low punch away from Weir. This one finds a teammate, and Matt Lazaridis gets it away. Bentleigh not wasting any time then. Jacob Alexander. Alexander, diagonal ball, bending at the edge of the penalty area away from Kieran Dover. Good defensive header to clear it from Lazaridis, and now a high ball over the top. Bingham trying to split the central defenders, brings it into his control. Bingham, yes, at the near post! Smash and grab from Hume City. And it is the league's leading sharpshooter, Josh Bingham, who makes it Hume City 1, Bentleigh Greens 0.
That's 9 consecutive games now for Josh Bingham. An absolutely crazy run for the league's top marksman. It is the thing that we forewarned could happen to Bentleigh if they continued to push that issue and couldn't find an opening. Bingham able to use his body up forward, driving at Jacob Alexander, who couldn't afford to make the challenge in because he's already on a yellow. But take nothing away from Josh Bingham, was able to work his way around Alexander. Still had work to do, but found the perfect gap between Javi Lopez and the near post. And neither side has really taken the ascendancy on the balance of play. We finally have one who's taken the lead on the scoreline.
You have to say that is a makeshift centre-back pairing on display, isn't it, really? A striker at the top of his game, all things considered, of course, he's played at a higher level, but top of his game in an NPL sense versus some unfamiliar centre-back combos, and he just cut through the black and knife through Barra.
Yeah.
And excellent point. Alexander couldn't foul him because he didn't want to get sent off. Too early in the game to sacrifice yourself. Are they going to do it again? Brennan, they're attacking through the middle, laid at central, and didn't see that it was Daniel Bowman rather than a teammate who was coming through to take the ball.
It was just such a tidy finish as well from Bingham. I think maybe if we look at it on the replay, perhaps Javi Lopez left a little more gap at that near post than he would have liked, given the position that Bingham had taken relative to the goal. Be one for the repeat viewings, however.
Now Lambatteridis. Oh, great touch. Crowley then left it behind to a grateful Mark Ochieng, who didn't exactly tackle him. It's really more the ball was presented to him to clear. I was so close to calling him Harry. I can't believe you've planted the seed there, Lockie.
My apologies.
So with 6 minutes of regulation until half-time, Hume City are trying to win at this ground for the first time in 11 years. Just about everyone out on the field tonight would have still been in high school, some of them in primary school, the last time Hume City saluted at this venue. Here is Mitchell Hoare. Slides it central. Oh, tap at the ankles there from Ben Bowler on Damien Iaconis. Bowler, who is no stranger to picking up the cards in NPL Victoria, not afraid of doing the dirty work. Not to say that was dirty, just more late. Out to the right. Home team looking for a response. Good slide challenge comes in. That's the ball off the feet of now we reset. Oh, given away. I was about to say resetting at the centre of defence, but Bingham intercepted that back pass, and now he's giving a real torrid time to Jacob Alexander, and possession is given away. Danny Dixon jacking in from the left side, and then just showed a little bit too much of the ball to Kieran Dover, who came back and took it off his feet. So crisis averted there for the Bentleigh Greens. Now they look to press back in the other direction. Crowley stops and props. Ball actually comes to a standstill outside the penalty area. Lambatteridis. Lofted pass over to Bowman, and he got the march on Ochieng there, who followed the ball rather than the man, and into the 6-yard box. And a good header away, and then a very nicely timed volley from Cooper to clear the lines. Mitchell Hoare, he's going to lift it in. Crowley knocks it down. Iaconis just a step late. Lambatteridis, and can't find a deflection nor clean passage towards the target. Wave after wave of attack here from the Bentleigh Greens. They're looking for a big finish to the first half to try and get back level. Exidius lays it out to the right side. Nice link-up play again. Shouts to the referee for a foul. Not forthcoming. Exidius charges through one more time. Here comes the cross from the right, and a good header away by Ochieng. Hume just need to get a breather here. Right now, Bentleigh are not letting them out.
Yeah, but the thing for Bentleigh is they've got to make this sustained period of pressure count. Been up against it.
Since switching over to the right flank, Pierce Waring has been waiting for a chance. It's not forthcoming this time either. Iaconis. And that cross leaves a little to be desired. Brennan just trying to drive it away to open space. The chance for Hume City to regroup. And then Brennan leaves the ball behind and gives up on it too. So Iaconis comes in to take over. Dover. Back out to the flank. And that cross exploding off the boots. Not what Bentleigh were hoping for.
Poor cross, but I think we are at least, for Bentleigh and for Nick Tolios, seeing the benefit that can be found when there's players willing, or when the side becomes willing to commit more bodies forward, make some more direct runs to that penalty area. I think it's maybe something that's been lacking, players who are willing to make very direct runs and take on the game.
Well, Exidius there, that last cross was a letdown, but territorially, he's now really starting to live almost as a right attacking midfielder at the moment. On the ball case in point right here, playing a quick 1-2. In comes the cross to the near post. Hume clear their lines once more. Outside the box it goes. Exidius. This is Alexander. Just defers to Lambatteridis, and crunching challenge comes in, and the referee's seen foul. Hume on notice there because they're threatening to take it quickly. I think Bozdogan was the man who committed the foul. Is he going to get booked for his trouble? I don't think the card came out of the pocket. We've had, during that long passage of passes, there's been 2 goals at a different venue, Lockie.
Goodness gracious. Dandenong City, they might have been a little bit nervous as Heidelberg pulled themselves one back on 42 minutes. But less than 60 seconds later, Dandenong City have only gone and grabbed themselves another, so they still retain that 2-goal advantage over Heidelberg United.
I'm pretty sure both those goals got scored within that same passage of play here at Kingston Heath.
How is that a 4-goal game? That is, you would never have picked that as the highest, potentially highest scoring fixture of the round.
Right-footed option is Daniel Bowman. Left-footed option is Jacob Alexander. Who's it going to be with 4 in the wall? We're in the last minute of regulation at the end of the first half. Michael Weir waits in goal, and he just comes over to the post for one last check of his defensive wall and then returns to the centre of the goal. Can Bentleigh square this one away before the half-time break? Bowman stands solo now over the free kick, and he viciously drives that into the wall, and not a surprise to see that there's been some collateral damage, and those are the sacrifices you make when you go and stand in a defensive wall.
They're braver men than me. The 4 in the Hume City wall copped an absolute thunderbolt.
Good work by the trainer as well. I think saw that. I mean, it was a venomously hit free kick. And obviously the wall making sure that Michael Weir never had to deal with it. Just looking over to the 4th official, I'm not sure if the board was held up or not while this treatment has been going on. But we are into first half stoppage time now. Has there been another goal around the grounds, Lockie?
There has. Dandenong Thunder scored a second. So they lead at JL Murphy Reserve.
And I think
2-1.
We're getting news of a second red card here for Green Gully. They're 2-0 down.
Gracious.
Only at the hour mark against the Oakley Cannons, who are already 2-0 up. So Oakley might have the chance to run up their goal difference here today.
Very rarely is there a dull Friday night in this league.
That's 2 games in 2 weeks with 2 red cards in them. Of course, Dandy City got 2 players sent off against Avondale last week. So the Reds are flying in NPL Victoria. And speaking of, the team in red here is edging closer to taking this one to lead to half-time. In fact, that's the reason we didn't see the 4th official lift the board, because as soon as the treatment was administered, we are off to half-time. And so it is Josh Bingham's goal on the break, which gives Hume City a 1-0 lead at half-time. Lockie Flanagan, take us to half-time with your thoughts.
As we've sort of intimated throughout the 45, Teo, it's been a game that over the course has lacked a little bit of general quality, and in the absence of collective quality, sometimes you need the individual qualities to step up, and Josh Bingham was able to do exactly that on the break, taking on Jacob Alexander and finding a beautiful finish at the near post, which is the only thing that really separates Hume City and the Bentleigh Greens. Positive signs for the Greens towards the end of that half, though. They showed, as they started to push more numbers forward, they were really able to pin back Hume, and they need to continue to balance risk with reward as they go on if they're trying to find an equaliser and more in the second half.
It's been a slow burn, but stay with us here on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel and Facebook page. Countdown clock with you through half-time, and then we'll return for the second half of Bentleigh Greens 0, Hume City 1. Welcome back to live pictures from Kingston Heath. Half-time in this NPL Victoria clash, and Josh Bingham's goal makes it Hume City 1, Bentleigh Greens 0 at the start of the second half. Lockie Flanagan joining me, Teo Pellizzeri. We've spent the half-time break watching all the goals and cards and action at all the other grounds, and Lockie, we're feeling a bit jealous because this game needs to come to the party on what has been a wild night of NPL Victoria action.
Yeah, it certainly does. This one is the straggler, I guess, where action is concerned, but certainly could become a more interesting proposition if Bentleigh continue to do what they were doing towards the end of that first half. They were starting to get more bodies forward and press the issue. If they can get a goal early doors, we might be still in with a shot of that sweet, sweet Friday night action.
Well, interesting to see that Jacob Alexander remains at the centre of defence for the Bentleigh Greens as we kick off the second half. He is on a yellow card, so keep that in the back of your mind when Hume inevitably try to counter. Who knows, they may even be able to force the issue, but as you just said, Lockie, at the end of the first half, Bentleigh were the team very much getting on top. Neither team has turned to the substitutes bench, at least I think. The fourth official's got the board marked there. It would suggest that Pat Langlois has come on for Ben Bowler, if indeed that sub went through. Just have to confirm that by looking at the teams out on the pitch. And here he is, Pat Langlois, the boy from Newcastle. So he's on, Bowler is off. It's safe to say we didn't call Bowler's name too many times in that first half. He probably spent a lot of it as a more of a shielding, protecting sort of a midfielder. Langlois, you would expect, will be a lot more active on the ball. Be interesting to see if he maintains the defensive duties as well, as Hume go looking for a second. And a little bit of an awkward back pass there is cleared away for the Bentleigh Greens, and now Ochieng's header slides on. So just to update you on what's going on around the grounds, full time at Knight Stadium. Avondale lead with the 2-0 win, so they will stay top of the league for another weekend. And we're in stoppage time at JL Murphy, where Dandenong Thunder currently hold a 2-1 lead against 10-man Port Melbourne. So that could be 3 huge points for Thunder as they try to maintain just a little bit of hope of sneaking up on the top 6 come the end of the campaign. Half-time at Frank Holohan. We'll stay with play here. Bingham laying it central, and that will be easy pickings for Lopez. Dandenong City 3-1 up against Heidelberg United, including an absolutely brutal hit to the head of Josh Burgess by the goalkeeper from Dandenong City. Thankfully, he got up okay, but gee, it was a pretty wild first half with the goals and the penalty decisions and all that stuff going on there.
It was probably the complete opposite of what we expected at Frank Holohan, but we're never complaining. And we see plenty of goals and some decent finishes in that game as well. The Tease's opener was especially impressive.
Brennan's pass to no one in particular here is taken over by the Greens. Exidius rolls it back to Mitchell Hoare. And George Lambatteridis. He was the player that was always prepared to come deep to get the ball and just try to move from defence into midfield as that first half went on. Now Alexander out to the left side. Quick 1-2, surveying the options. All a little bit static ahead of the ball though. And Iaconis has the ball knocked off his feet. So Hume take over at right back, and just a long hopeful ball. Can Bingham repeat the sneak of the first half? This time Bentleigh have got players in position to starve him of possession. Just the other game going on, Oakley are 3-1 up away at Green Gully, who've had both Jordan Hall and Jez Walker sent off in that game. They're going to finish with 9 men. So we'll keep you posted on those scores as they come through. But of course you can watch them for yourself as well on the NPL Victoria Facebook page and YouTube channel. Clever by Exidius. And then countering to come away with possession is Lazaridis. He refused to be beaten there.
Yeah, fullback going against fullback. Lazaridis the one who wins out. Interesting. It hasn't necessarily needed to, given the way that Hume have approached this game, but Lazaridis is well known for being a fullback who likes to push up. We've not seen that nearly as often this evening. I suppose that's maybe a result of system.
And again, thrown in clearance in the blink of an eye straight away. Late equaliser, 96th minute for Port Melbourne. So they have denied Dandenong Thunder there, while perhaps picking up a vital point in their hopes for the top 6. Of course, the two teams we're watching here are hoping to stay ahead of them Hume by winning tonight. Bentleigh Greens by getting back in this game. Bowman. Looking to go back to Alexander. Eventually the Hume defensive line pushes up, not too aggressively though. Waring and Crowley hanging off them at the moment. And Crowley won't get possession here as Tennant sweeps in and knocks the ball out at the halfway line. So first 5 minutes of the second half, it looks as though we're in a pattern already of Bentleigh attack, Hume counter. And the referee is giving a foul throw here. Clearly a bit of confusion as to why. So Hume take over, Ochieng and Langlois combine. Ball breaks central, Mitch Cooper nicking in and tried to take it off the feet of Corey Sewell. Runs all the way back to Lopez and now he's clearing and finding the touchline rather than a teammate. Block tackle in midfield, and this will be a free kick going the way of Hume. What do you think Nick Hegarty's plans are for this second half? They're definitely not going to be too aggressive chasing a second goal.
I think patience. Patience will be the best way forward for Hume. We've seen already transitions are where the chances are going to come for them, and I think the substitution of Langlois onto the field, his ability to distribute from deep areas forward to Bingham is probably going to be the route to potentially a second.
Set piece to be taken here by Danny Dixon, and he's just going to roll it out wide. Ochieng, is he going to send in the cross? Yes, he will. Tumbling in at the near post and going out for a rare corner for Hume City, and so over to take it goes Andy Brennan. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they had a single corner in the first half, so this will be their first of the night. Confirmed full time, a lot of stoppage over at JL Murphy. Port Melbourne 2, Dandenong Thunder 2.
I mean, in the context of where they were very late into the piece, not a bad point for Port Melbourne, all things considered.
Still 10 minutes to go at Green Gully Reserve. 3-1 in Oakley's favour there. Here comes the corner then, and it's a short corner. After all that build-up, Bosdegan, and now Brennan, edge of the box on a tight angle, low into traffic, and sent out, so that they waited until 52nd minute of the night to get their first corner, and a second one follows in quick succession. This time, it's going to be Danny Dixon. Surely they're not going to play two short corners in a row.
If at first you don't succeed.
Lots of players buzzing around that corner. Yes, it is a short corner. And Cooper, Brennan, and now Cooper. Oh, across the face it goes again. Maybe hoping for a deflection more than a strike through all of that traffic. Out it goes for a goal kick. That'll suit Hume just fine. Bentleigh now have to switch back on, and they're going to take the shortest of goal kicks to get back underway deep in defence. Alexander sails it onto the head of Ochieng. Brennan all the way back to Michael Weir. Long probing ball from Weir, almost reconnecting with Ochieng, runs off his head, and it's going to be a Bentleigh throw deep at left back. Their bench tonight: Alex Pavlidis, Will Demanis, Alex Cornelia, Chudia Tajiath and Thierry Iridakunda. And the remaining available Hume subs: Lucas Trenkovski, Theo Markellis, Alex Walter and Lockie Weir. Ball went out. Assistant referee from the opposite half of the pitch is flagging. Braden Crowley was not away. Ochieng, high ball over the top. Bingham trying to accelerate from deep. And Mitchell Hoare back to the centre of defence. Alexander looking a little rushed, and so it will be a Hume throw. Langlois. Back to Ochieng. Ball holds up at the edge of the box, and Bentleigh are able to repel initially, but a giveaway could be costly here. Cooper's offside, and the chance again may have rolled into the back of the net, but little protest as the flag goes up. That pass out of defence though was potentially costly. Bentleigh looking to be a bit more aggressive now. Alexander, high ball over the top. Waring trying to slide in. Safe to say they've really struggled to get him into the game.
Yeah, I think it's been the case for all three of those forward players so far this evening. Very narrow throughout the game. Supply out of midfield has been difficult to find. Each one, Crowley, Conus, Pierce Waring.
Exilius spreads out to the right. Iconis made a run, which he ignored. Goes back to Corey Sewell instead. And Batteridis. Hume, very compact defending, happy to concede the wing. Trying to go through the middle. Horse pass is picked off by Bosdogan. Bingham is the most advanced, waiting for runners to break. Here goes Brennan. He had to go wide to take control of the ball, but we know he loves to cut in. And Jacob Alexander knows that too and stopped him initially, but Brennan recovers the ball and then sends that one high and out.
Disappointing cross, but very good work from Jacob Alexander.
You can hear really loud shouting to trap them in. That's what's coming from the Hume bench. Ball is cleared. Ochieng. He's had a really bright start to the second half in terms of just composing himself on the contest, but he'd love a killer pass or a well-measured cross to accompany it. Won't find one here as it goes out for a throw. So 11 minutes ticked over in this second half, and if anything, Hume is starting to get on top. That won't help. Ochieng's done really well to keep it in after that half volley back from Cooper. Bentleigh defence trying to repel. Alexander got clipped late. Play continues. And Batteridis out to Exilius. Cuts it central. Lots of traffic. Waring gets a touch, goes to ground, and he's done well to win a foul there, given that Hume numbers were closing in on him. Taken very quickly. Mitchell Hoare didn't like what was ahead of the ball. Defers back to Kieran Dover. Dover slides it low. Crowley, first time shot, straight into the ankles of the guarding Maricic. He's able to retrieve the ball though. Mitchell Hoare, deflected cross. It's going to sit up. Waring. Can he turn and face? He goes back instead. Here's the shot, low, bit of pinball. Don't think Dover was expecting it to fall to him that rapidly. Iaconis now. Edge of the box. He wanted the return pass. It wasn't forthcoming. Bentleigh getting closer and closer though. They've got Hume City pinned back in their penalty area. Alexander. And blocked in his tracks by Langlois. Is there a counter on here for Hume? Bingham takes it wide. Looks up and sees Langlois waiting for the return pass. No one else there to help him out though. He's done well to keep possession. And now Bingham. Wide on the right. Well, it was a encouraging enough phase of play for the Bentleigh Greens, but now it's Hume who've taken over again. Bosdogan gives possession away. Can they strike in a direct fashion now, Bentleigh? Iaconis just enough to be put off his possession. And shouts for the flag aren't coming. Here's Danny Dixon one-on-one, and it's in. Hume strike twice. Danny Dixon against his former club. And now they are looking good to win at Kingston Heath for the first time in 11 years.
Well, perhaps it's cruel on the Bentleigh Greens, Teo. The questions of offside not heard by the linesman, and Danny Dixon, who's been given the chance by Nick Hegarty in recent weeks to come out of fullback and move into that front three, has repaid the faith of his manager, grabbing a goal that puts Hume comfortably in the lead of this one.
So goal coming in the 59th minute, and immediate response from the Bentleigh bench with Damien Iaconis coming off. And also I think Mitchell Hoare was the other player that made way. Hume is still celebrating the goal, coming back to the middle.
Double substitution for Bentleigh, off number 24, off number 21, Brayden Crowley, on number 17, Alex Cornelia, and off number...
We're listening into the ground announcer here just to try and confirm these quickfire subs that were made in the aftermath of the goal getting scored.
Almost raised more questions than answers.
So Cornelia has come on. Who's the other player that came on here for the Bentleigh Greens? Thierry Iradakunda is on. And the two players that came off, I'm fairly sure it was Hoare and Iaconis. So double change for Bentleigh Greens. We know they were fast finishers against St Albans last week. So if they can peg one back, they will push right to the end of the 90. This is first involvement now off the bench for Iradakunda. Dover swinging it across. They'd love the quick reply here. It gets over the head of Brayden Crowley. Outside the penalty area. Cornelia, and good hands from Weir. That could have spilled anywhere, but instead he grasps on.
He did have a few in the first half where he was hesitant between the catch and the punch away. Decided correctly. Worked effectively there, did Michael Weir, but that's not a massive surprise given his quality.
Most recent goal scorer, Danny Dixon. Ball almost set up off the feet of Corey Sewell to take it away again. Sewell, no passing channels open for him, and this is where Hume are at their most dangerous. Cooper sets it into the path of Bingham and coming across, defending it well. Corey Sewell getting back to clear it away. So we've just passed the hour mark here. Bentleigh Greens 2-0 down. This would be a massive result for Hume, given what else has gone on around the league, with Knights losing today, Heidelberg currently behind, and Port Melbourne being held to a draw. Hume would jump into 5th if things currently stay as they are.
Really puts recent form something that South Melbourne have had into perspective as well. A team that were sitting undefeated and top of the table not that long ago, in 8th in the current ladder, of course. Still to play on Saturday night.
It's incredible. Cooper, a third for Hume, and they can start making plans for next week. Not just yet, though. Held on to by Lopez. So Bentleigh, they're chasing this game. Nothing else. It should mean that they play with a bit more intent and a higher tempo than the really cagey, standoffish first half that we had. Lopez. Lambatarides. Alexander down the line. Controlled by Crowley. Ball here with Dover, and Weir's forced into his best save of the night. In the pocket there, Kieran Dover had space time and nearly picked out the bottom left corner.
Yeah, really, it's Kieran Dover showing what perhaps Bentleigh have needed more of over the course of the evening. Just taking a pop as soon as you find those half chances. They need to get one as soon as they possibly can. And given the difficulty they've had getting it through the middle, pops from distance might be the best bet.
Slip on the corner. It's not going to affect the delivery much, though. Maricic outside the area. Cooper clipped. And the referee gives advantage here, and this could be very advantageous for Hume City. Brennan into the path of Danny Dixon. Stops and props Dixon, keeps it moving. Bingham, and he's got 2. Hume's got 3. And this team look like they're going to be making history at Kingston Heath. Josh Bingham's got a double.
He is inevitable at the moment, Taya. You cannot stop Josh Bingham in this form. Once again, he finds that opening at the near post. And again, maybe you ask the questions of Harvey Lopez. Should he have defended that near post a little bit better? Well, it doesn't matter in the end because Bingham found the corner and found Hume's third. It's very cruel once again on the Bentleigh Greens, but the advantage being used to maximum advantage by the away side.
I reckon Nick Hegarty is going to have a very enjoyable time watching the footage back of this one because his team has been so good on the counter-attack. Now, that hasn't been the only goal to hit the back of the net. Take us around the grounds, Lucky.
If you can even believe me reading this aloud, Teo, Dandenong City have made it 4-1 in the second half against Heidelberg United. So that game at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex continues to go crazy.
Well, that really is going to shake up the relegation battle, especially given they came in off the back of a fairly worrying performance against Avondale, where they had 2 men sent off, including captain Stephen Topalovic.
Well, again, it's one where the live ladder is instructive, because that does pull Dandenong City into 12th, out of the relegation zone. Leaves it all to do for St Albans with a big 6-pointer against Eastern Lions this weekend.
Yeah, is it ever? I think Eastern Lions now rotating their team in the cup, looking like a very wise decision. Full time at Green Gully Reserve as we watch this cross into the arms of Michael Weir. Oakley 3, Green Gully 1, so 3 points on the road for Oakley, and Gully will feel the ramifications for weeks to come, with Jordan Hall and Jeremy Walker both sent off. And Gully perhaps will be grateful that there's no Pro-Rel playoff for third last this year, because it's looking very 2018 for them all over again.
Many unhappy Moreland City fans in your mentions now.
There's only 5 teams in Moreland. We seeing a sub here? Yes, we are. It's going to be the end of the night for Mitch Cooper, who has pressed and run into the ground and tackled from the front. And let's not forget, his stealing of the ball off Jacob Alexander that led to the yellow card, arguably the first really significant moment in Hume taking over this game.
Yeah, it's not been pretty work necessarily from Mitch Cooper, not necessarily what we're expect to seeing from him, but it's been important work, as you said.
Theo Markellis comes on. He'll have 24 minutes of regulation here, with Hume in the enviable position of being 3-0 up. And Crazy Ricochet is his introduction into the game. So if he wasn't sharp before, that certainly will have woken him up, because we heard the impact there come through the effects microphone loud and clear. This is Exidius. He's going to take on Danny Dixon. Little shove there from Dixon. Got away with it. Still going Exidius. And now Lazaridis takes over defending him. Dover. Crowley, edge of the box. And loses out to Lazaridis, who's done well to defend him there. Bingham shoved in the back, and Corey Saul. And isn't it wonderful, as we just listen into the effects microphone, to have fans back in the NPL?
Yeah, I really feel like what the effects microphone is picking up says it all.
Booking there for Kieran Dover as well, for kicking the ball into Josh Bingham. He can see the funny side of it. Clearly enjoying the banter coming over the fence.
Well, at the present moment, Bingham is said to have the last laugh, but I think the fans on the fence maybe do have cause to feel a bit aggravated. I think Bingham knew exactly what he was doing. He saw that Sewell was coming in behind him, saw him over the shoulder and said, I'm just going to set myself and go down as soon as I feel the contact.
Silly from Dover, though. It's poor sportsmanship to kick the ball into a player on the ground.
Yeah.
So he gets a yellow card for his trouble, and will have to behave for the rest of the night.
What's he going to do? Give us another goal against us? Fuck the dickhead.
Maricic, and there's been another sub made here for the Bentleigh Greens, with Chudia Tajiath coming on. Pretty sure it's Damien Iaconis who was taken off.
Give it to Bingham, take a dive here.
Pierce Waring, my apologies. So Chudia Tajiath, who scored last week against St Albans, is on. Langlois, Ochieng. Safe to say the recriminations of Josh Bingham's action are a hot topic of conversation for the fans below us. Maybe this will put a smile on their face instead if Bentley can peg one back. Ochieng just fell over on the ball there, but he's going to win a foul for his trouble. And it's getting chippy out there. Safe to say that the frustration of the game slipping out of their reach is taking a bit of an impact on the Bentleigh Greens, and Hume aren't willing to let Bentleigh intimidate them here.
Yeah, I mean, again, effects mic proving very instructive in the last 5 minutes. You overheard what was said there. The court of public opinion at Kingston Heath clearly not finding in favour of Mark Ochieng.
When we go home, me and Jimmy are like,
in particular coming together.
From a tactical point of view, a lot of subs now for the Bentleigh Greens. What are you looking for from them for this last 20 minutes? Presumptuous to say the game is totally gone, because we know that there's been some crazy comebacks over the years in NPL, but what exactly do they need to do to try and find a way back into this contest?
You mentioned the fact that Tarjiath scored his first goal last week against St Albans, and if you've seen that goal, you'll know it was quite a spectacular one. And
skins 2 players right there.
Spectacular is probably the thing that Bentleigh Greens need to find a lifeline if they can get one, but I almost think that Tarjiath maybe could have come on a little bit earlier. He's so direct.
And this errant header is going to present an opportunity. Tarjiath, oh! He had dynamite in the boots, but it was out for a corner. Nearly talked it into the back of the net there for him, Lockie.
We were inches away from the reverse commentator's curse there. A commentator's boo. Wow. That would have been quite something.
Would have been special comments of the year had that one rattled the back of the net. Certainly an exciting moment. Terrible defensive header to play him in from Hume. So they're on notice. Corner taken to the edge of the box. Iridakunda, first touch abandoned him, and it means that Lazaridis is going to come away here. Potential counter-attack here for Hume City. Iridakunda was trying to grab at him, trying to commit a foul. Couldn't even catch him to commit the professional foul, but all's well that ends well. And now coming back, it's Exidius in the other direction. A few gaps opening up here for the Bentleigh Greens, and Ocheng committed. Perfect timing to slide in. Had to get to the ball, otherwise Bentleigh were out in a quarter field of space. Instead, Alexander, and too much on that cross over the head of Tarjiath and out for a Hume City throw. It looks as though this little step up in intensity might have prompted a bit of activity on the Hume City bench, so another sub not too far away. I suspect it might be Alex Walter, who's currently taking off the tracksuit to come on. Like Andy Brennan, another Tasmanian connection in this Hume City team. And here is Brennan now. Tarjiath wins a foul. So free kick coming up here for the home side. So almost a totally new attacking cast here, standing under this free kick from Exidius. Swings it right to the edge of the 6-yard box. Weir just grazed his glove across it. Cornelia, you know he loves this move, cut in, shoot, and sadly that one did not recapture his best.
Yeah, closer to the golf course than the goal, unfortunately for Alex Cornelia. It's been a positive few minutes from Bentleigh, however. You see the benefit of what can happen when players are willing to carry the ball. It's the shout that we've heard from the company we've got up in the commentary position, is to carry the ball more often. The Bentleigh attackers haven't done that nearly often enough. And when they have done it in the last few minutes, particularly through Tarjiath, they've found openings.
Andy Brennan's night is over, and it is Alex Walter who is going to come on and replace him here. This could be a massive night for Hume City. Currently sitting 5th. South Melbourne can jump above them tomorrow with a win, but not with a draw, because Hume City have boosted their goal difference to better than that of South Melbourne now. South playing Altona at Lakeside Stadium. Exchange of headers. Now Markellis. Here's Walter's first touch. He's going to have to go and defend here against Cornelia, and does so. What's your prediction for tomorrow? I saw South in the Cup midweek. Far from convincing, but winners nonetheless against Eastern Lions. Altona, you called them live last week in their loss away to Oakley Cannons.
It's really, I think, looking over to my tips, maybe it's a controversial one, but I think that's a genuine danger game for South.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more.
In the sense that Altona are not going to try and force the issue in any way, shape or form, and that's, as we've seen often this season, the very thing or the very approach that can undo South Melbourne. asking them to play against the set defence. I mean, Altona were able to get a draw playing a similar brand earlier this year. It could be well placed to do it again.
Draw certainly doesn't help them. Never mind that
They've got enough of those.
Dandy City are winning tonight. Edge of the box, Crowley holds it up. Exidius whips it across over the head of all in the area, and coming out the back is Walter for Hume City. Hits it down the line. Bingham holding it up and clips it into the path of Walter, who continued his run. Back to Bingham, and the shout there is met with the whistle of the referee. It's Alexander getting fouled by Bingham. Bentleigh quick to take the restart. And now another free kick. What about the other game? Gardeners Creek Reserve, Eastern Lions against St Albans. What's your tip for that one?
Purely for the cup resting, the changes they made, I like the Eastern Lions in that game. But I mean, I'm sure the Bentleigh players from last week will show you that St Albans are maybe better than their league position suggests. So it really could go either way. I think the home side will do it. Not counting out St Albans just yet if they've got the fire of Dandenong City underneath them.
Network of passes here from the Bentleigh Greens. 15 minutes of regulation to go. Hume have been happy to sit back and defend for the last 5 minutes here. Lambatarides, and as he rips out a mid-range long pass, it's comfortably held onto by Weir. He would like nothing more than to go home with a clean sheet tonight. Think back to his best save of the night from Kieran Dover earlier in this half. Here's Bosdagan. Long ball. Dixon stays onside again. And this time on a tight angle, squares it and wrapped up in the arms of Javier Lopez. And again on the counter, Josh Bingham was saying, play me in for my hat-trick, please. And the pass did not meet him. Tajaf. Away Bosdagan. Tajaf.
I apologise how that was swearing. I got excited. Okay? If you've got sight,
Dover. And immediately deflected away. Lazaridis. And ball deflects out. Next week, Hume City return home, 5:30 p.m. Saturday evening kickoff against the Eastern Lions. Bentleigh Greens doesn't get any easier for them, Lockie. They're away at Avondale, 3 p.m. Saturday at Reggio Calabria.
How big is this next month for them? Because not only have they got Avondale waiting for them next week, but then Heidelberg and Oakley in the 2 weeks after that. So more test of their measure.
No, those will be good. Good that we'll have crowds back for those as well, because Bentleigh, Oakley, no love lost between those two teams. That always, all the neutrals come out for that one. I think take the 500 odd fans that'll be at Malvern City versus South Springvale tomorrow, and they will be here for Bentleigh Oakley whenever that gets played. Had some real classics over the journey. Heidelberg's an interesting one. When's the last time you can recall them conceding 4 goals in a game? It would have been a couple of years ago when they got smashed by South Melbourne.
I mean, that particular stat would be an oddity enough. It made it even stranger by the fact that it's Dandenong City, the side scoring the 4 goals.
Yeah, amazing reverse of fortunes. Crossfield pass. 12 minutes to go. Hume going to get a little more expansive here. Goal difference could play a huge role in who finishes where come the end of the season. Down to the corner, and Walter can't run it down. So watching Hume last week, they were definitely second best as Melbourne Knights got 2-0 up. Very lucky not to be down to 10 men when they were 2-0 down. Came back to 2-2. Lost in very unfortunate circumstances. Still went down to 10 men regardless. They've turned it around pretty dramatically tonight. They perhaps have captured the best of their second half comeback without really the flatness that saw Melbourne Knights win the game.
Yeah,
And now another interception, this time left behind. Apologies.
No, it's in a massive about face. Hume really played this game perfectly. The early goal certainly helping them. As we talked about this evening, the congestion of that top 6 or top 6 to 8 being as it is. In a game like this, not only does it push up the table, but it can give you a lot of confidence in a short space of time. It seems that Hume have certainly got their tails up. And they can carry that into future fixtures.
Bingham. 1-2 with Walter. Look at the speed of Bingham. He's motoring onto the ball here. And eventually his marker gets back goal side. Now midfield battle continues. Tajia.
Too much.
Danny Dixon. Bingham called for the pass, and the ball's broken the wrong way off Dixon's right boot there, so swept upon by Alexander. Right, well, as the sting starts to go out of this game, Lockie, we're going to go through the teams that played on Friday, March the 7th, 2010, which is the last time Hume City won here at Kingston Heath against the Bentleigh Greens 11 years ago. 5-1 was the score that night. In goal for Hume City, you mentioned it earlier, Luachevsky. Izzy Erdogan, was it pre or after his, I think it was after his A-League spell. Former young Socceroo, Fab Delizia, was playing. Went on to kick 8 in a grand final for Hillside playing footy. Just had enough of soccer and went and played footy. Yep, won a premiership.
That's Josh Doran doing that at the moment.
Serdar Pier was playing in the game. Here's a diagonal ball. And Ochieng's quick, but yes, he is quick enough to get there just in the nick of time. And so now Bentleigh have to switch on because Walter is through the right side here and corralled away. Back to Ochieng. He gets caught in possession and knocked over, and it will be a free kick wide on the right here for Hume City.
It would have been very easy for Mark Ochieng, the game state being as it is, to give up on that one, but he pushed on and free kick to show for it.
I mean, whether it was a halftime team talk or whether he's taken it upon himself, he has really grown into this game in the second half. Braden Crowley comes off and Will Demanis comes on for the Bentleigh Greens. As the sub goes through. So his first piece of business will be to come in and defend this free kick, which is going to be taken on the right side.
No, you bring it to me.
Hume looking for a fourth to make the scoreline even less believable. And that one is headed away at the near defender. Back to Ochieng, who was having a word to the bench, maybe about whether he's got anything left in the legs. I think he's enjoying the game tonight, doesn't want to come off. Bosdagan pops that down into the arms of Lopez.
Go for a run, mate.
And this is Demanis off the bench. Tajia. And fell over and left the ball behind. We saw there Maricic decided at this late time of the night he's not going to go crashing into a 50-50, and so Bentleigh take possession. Lambatarides. Now through the left side. Cornelia. And cleared away by Langlois. Continuing with that Hume City team. Andy Vlahos was a playing coach. You don't see that in the top flight anymore. Got another sub coming up here. Lockie Weir is coming on for Danny Dixon, who scored the second goal. And a word on Dixon's performance tonight.
Yeah, did a really, really great job. It's been interesting to see him being pushed forward and giving more license to, come out of defence, not just in a figurative sense, but in a positional sense as well. And he's done that job really well this evening on the counter-attack coming down the left-hand side. I think Hegarty will be getting ready to give him a very hearty pat on the back.
Other players in that Hume City team in 2010. Michael Basevsky, Tanzel Beza, Alfonso Opazo, Turhan Sumbul, who scored 2 goals, Goran Talevski, Richie Cardozo, who scored 2 goals, and the subs were Ziggy Petrevski, Dusko Delic, and Mehmet Karakilic. So first time in 11 years that Hume City are going to win at Kingston Heath against Bentleigh, and there's been a lot of pain and a lot of defeats in that time. As the ball goes out for a corner, and from a goal difference point of view, taking a look at the table, Hume are currently +9, Bentleigh now +6. And that means Oakley Cannons have leapfrogged them tonight into second place on the table because Oakley are +9. So a goal here could still be important. In it comes to the pack. It breaks the wrong way off Demanis while he was committing a foul on Hayden Tennant.
Can't fault the energy off the bench, but a little bit wrong side of the law, unfortunately, for Will Demanis.
So Avondale on 32 after tonight. 5 points back. Oakley on 27 +9. Bentleigh on 27 +6 as it stands. Heidelberg will be left on 26, and with a goal difference of just +3 because they are being soundly beaten by Dandenong City at the moment. Hard to believe. Hume City on 24 +9 if things stay as they are. Melbourne Knights losing earlier tonight. They're on 24, and their goal difference is dead level. So they do have a far lesser goal difference than all the other top 6 contenders. So we see Tarjiath here playing it to Iridakunda. And the interception is made by Ochieng into the last 5 minutes of regulation now. Bingham hasn't given up on his hat-trick. Sensing the opportunity to break clear in the Golden Boot race tonight. And Jacob Alexander is not letting him pass. And then outside the top 6 as things stand, Port Melbourne on 23, South on 23 playing tomorrow. Thunder on 19 after that stoppage time equaliser denied them the chance to move up to 21. Gully on 16, they're in no man's land at the moment. So we see a ball over the top, and it's going to be cleared away. Ochieng once again. And then the relegation battle, Eastern Lions on 12, Dandy City up to 10, staying with play here. Walter squaring it. Oh, not a great touch, first or second, but they still have a chance. Hume cleared off the line. Good body position from the defender. No shouts for handball, so Theo Markellis will be wondering how he didn't score there. He managed to pick out the defender on the line rather than the rest of the net, and that is a let-off, very much so, for the Bentleigh Greens.
Yeah, I think that was James Exidius who was standing between Hume City and a fourth goal, making Theo Markellis a very unhappy man.
So now, again, Bentleigh go to work on trying to peg one of these goals back. Oh, heard the contact come through there on the effects microphone from Lazaridis, and so he'll take his licks and a yellow card.
Might not always keep a hold of possession. He might sometimes lose it as he drives forward, but he's willing to take risks, is Chudia Tarjiath, and when he gets on the ball, he's just able to drive and make things happen, which just feels like a quality that across the park Bentleigh have been lacking this evening.
Just to finish the relegation zone, Eastern Lions 12, Dandy City 10, St Albans 10, with a considerably worse goal difference than Dandy City, and Altona Magic forlorn on 7, foot of the table.
Single digits goals scored for St Albans. Crazy.
So here's the free kick then. Exidius, who hasn't stopped trying for the course of the night. Can he get an assist to his name? No, he cannot. As that comfortably falls into the arms of Weir, and then his rather awkward overarm throw is going to work out and find his brother Lockie. He would have practiced that in the backyard plenty of times. Hasn't quite worked out here in the NPL. We're down to 2 minutes to go in this one. Game petering out. Who's your man of the match, Lockie?
Is it to say? It's hard to go past the big man, surely. I mean, maybe on the second half performance, Ochieng perhaps in with a shout, but Bingham has come up trumps with probably the 2 most important goals of the game. Got the opener, probably got the sealer as well. It's pretty hard to go past him. Must have been a nice backyard the Weir family had if Michael was able to launch goal kicks in the backyard up to Lockie.
Yeah, true, not sure how
nice.
How big it was. Just taking a look at the Golden Boot race as well. Not factoring in other games tonight. Bingham started on 10, so he's up to 12. Bernardo, I don't think, scored either of Thunder's goals tonight, so he remains on 10, if I'm not mistaken. Salmon had
one of them, so
he
is
scored
still
one,
ahead.
so, yeah.
Score from the penalty spot.
Salmon scored 1, so he's up to 9. Thurtell scored 1, he's up to 9. Valentini plays tomorrow. It's one of the best Golden Boot races in years.
It's a very solid one. Very solid one indeed. Very pleasing for Thunder.
You get so used to just Lujic and Kenny, you know, having their own party at the top of the leaderboard. And who knows, Bingham tonight might be the night he breaks away and never gets headed again. But there's enough evidence out there that Bernardo is going to keep scoring for Thunder.
Well, one B replaces another, but in fairness to Milos Lujic, he's having a decent tilt at a Golden Boot as well. Albeit the State League 1 Southeast Golden Boot, but still having a good crack at one.
Make sure you clip the audio, because that's Lockie saying something nice about Mornington. So good on you. Here's Langlois. Actually, just a quick word on NPL1 tomorrow. Where can we hear you for the rest of the weekend?
I won't be calling any more action for this weekend, but we'll be down John Kane watching Northcote take on Langwarren. Big game for Northcote. Try to keep themselves within touching distance of the promotion race. It's a very, in the same way the top 6 to 8 is very tight here in the NPL. The NPL2, the whole table pretty much at the moment is massively congested. There's so much room for mobility. I mean, Moreland Zebras will be buoyed by their midweek win over Langwarren in the Cup, 3-1, and starting to pick up a good bit of form under new manager Gianfranco Pellizzeri. They'll be hopeful.
No relation.
No, none. The imposter.
So 3 minutes of additional time signalled here. Still 3-0 the score to Hume City. Bentleigh with a long ball here, knocked away. Be an interesting week of training for the Bentleigh Greens, because they've got so many players out injured that may be ready for Avondale away, or if they thought maybe they weren't going to be ready, maybe they'll have to be ready. Lockie.
Definitely be a tough week. They have to train hard against coming up with the fixtures they've got ahead of them. Find a lift.
Weir, pass to Lazaridis. It's about as far forward as we've seen him in open play tonight, and he's going to twist back, break central, and then send it back out to the left, where Weir is his accompaniment. And he's knocked over here by Exidius. We've had 90 seconds of the allocated 3 additional minutes, and I'm a little bit surprised and almost disappointed the scoring's dried up over at Frank Holohan. It's still, dare I say, only 4-1.
Disappointing. Disappointing from Dandenong City. They didn't continue to add to their advantage.
In the other 8:30 kickoff tonight. So we flagged that with 5 games going, it was going to shake up the table. It very much has done so. And it's the same scoreline as it was in the FFA Cup, but over at ABD Stadium a couple of weeks ago, in at the near post. Ball is not steered goalward, instead out for a corner. We're into the last minute then, as this one has petered out ever since the ball hit the back of the net for 3-0 for Josh Bingham. It has looked like fairly safe keeping here for Hume City. Can they leave with one for the road though? And the header is breaking the wrong way as far as Alex Walter is concerned. Outside the penalty area it goes. Mark Ellis, he claimed closest of anyone to a fourth. Ochieng. Bosdagan. And Langlois. Out to Bingham, who took up a position out on the wing after that corner came to Little. Alexander's clearance, shoulder-to-shoulder stuff. No progression. The referee will be looking at his watch as we tick into the last 10 seconds. Time yet maybe for Hume City though. Time for the hat-trick maybe. Saved by Lopez to deny Bingham. And that would have been a fitting end to the night for him had he scored his third. But it'll still be all smiles for Hume City. For the first time in 11 long years, they win in the league at Kingston Heath against the Bentleigh Greens. Full-time score, Bentleigh Greens 0, Hume City 3.
And they do it for the first time in over a decade to Hume City. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that a win can change so many things, and Hume picked themselves back up after that disappointing result against the Melbourne Knights last week. And now, with Eastern Lions, Port Melbourne and Dandenong Thunder as their next 3 games, the away side, they Hegarty's team set themselves up very nicely for a potential run and a push further up the top 6. For Bentleigh, it's frustrating stuff. They'll have to go back to the drawing board. Tolios will have plenty of deciding to do as he looks to pick himself back up, or pick his side back up, I should say, for a difficult month of fixtures ahead.
So a double for Josh Bingham and a goal for Danny Dixon in between means Hume City leave with the points. On behalf of our broadcast partner Sportscast Australia and also Lockie Flanagan, my name's Teo Pellizzeri. Thank you for your company tonight on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel and Facebook page. Good night from Kingston Heath.